Dan, how are we doing tonight, mate?
Ray, going very well, mate. How you doing?
Thank you so much for doing this, man. This is fun.
Thank you for having me.
I wanted the first guest to be someone that gave me some reparability, and I got you.
I'm glad. I don't know if I'm that person, but I'm glad you thought of me that way. So
Well,
let's give it a
mate,
shot.
I think you are that person, so
Thank you.
that's good. So talk to me. Talk to me is just a show. We're just gonna talk, man. I don't really care where we go with it. I don't care where it heads. It's just I've realized I know a lot about my friends, but I don't know a lot about them at the same time. If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. Funnily enough, yeah, I know what you mean. It's true.
You know all the trivial facts about them. Like I know you're the footy guy, but I guess I don't know what brought you up, what made you tick, what got you to where you are. So why don't you explain to the people who you are, what you do, what's your position, all that
I'll
sort
do
of
the
stuff.
very formal introductions.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Danny Mannah. I am married to Veronica. Got three kids and one on the way. So my kids are Victoria's 9, Johnny turning 8, Elizabeth's 4, and then one boy on the way. So it'll be two boys and two girls for me. And I work in construction. I'm a construction project manager. So I've been doing construction pretty much since straight out of school. So I did, even my year 10 work experience was in construction. And then straight out of school studied and yeah, I've been working ever since. So I'm 35 years old now, so I've been in it since I was 18. So,
So what's that? 13 years?
no, it'd
My
be
math
more
is
than
wrong.
that. That's
My math is terrible.
definitely not right. So
No, definitely not that.
it's been more like 17, 18 years in the
Okay.
industry, like full time working in construction. So I guess construction was my passion for work.
What pushed you into that though?
Year 10, I haven't told many people this, but in year 10, I had to do work experience. So probably one of my mentors I looked up to was David Fagali, and he was working, I guess, for a company called Star and Kitchens, which was, I guess, in the construction industry. So I did my year 10 work experience with him in the factory, and I had to wake up at about 4 a.m. to catch a train from Bankstown to meet him at Granville Station at like 5:30 a.m. for him to drive me to Penrith, work all day in the factory, and then same thing, he'd drop me back and I have to go home. And it was terrible. So I don't really know why I ended
You
up getting into construction.
you
But
couldn't get anyone to drive you to Guildford,
no, my parents
Granville.
said to me if I want to do work experience with Dave in Penrith, then I got to find my own way. I got to work out what real work was like. So
That's tough love right there.
yeah, oh look, my parents gave us very tough love when it came to working and things like that. So yeah.
Okay, so you're in the construction industry, and you're obviously at church. What do you do there?
So at church, I attend with my family, take them. I've been the leader of the Slam ministry for maybe the last 5 years, which is a prison ministry. So we go to different jails around New South Wales. We use sport as an avenue to get into the jails. So the jails are happy to have us in there because we're like a free voluntary service that comes plays team sport against the inmates. But then we also have a time with them for about half an hour where one of us will share our testimony, we'll preach the gospel from the Bible, and then we just hang out with them, get to know them, spend a bit of time, build friendships with some of the guys who we see, I guess, visit after visit, and yeah, just try to show them God's love and point them to Christ. So that's really what we do there.
So does that mean you took over in 2016?
It was roughly that. You know what? I don't know the exact date on top of my head, but
Because I'm starting to
roughly that.
realize that was the first year I joined.
There you
So
go.
I've been there for 5 years. The year you took over,
I'm pretty sure when I took over, you started straight away, so it probably
Yeah.
would have been, yeah.
because that was when I turned 18. Was 15. So
Nice.
excuse me, 16 was the year that I jumped on.
Well, I started Slam when I was 20, so I've been doing it for probably 16 years now. Then yeah, just been running it the last about 5 years. So yeah, there you go.
Far out.
Yeah, I love it. Slam's, I guess that's my real passion when it comes to ministry. And
Yeah, I was gonna ask you because I found that very interesting. Why is slam your passion? Why is that your go-to?
I guess when I was 20, I probably wasn't serving God enough or really doing much. And some of the older boys who were doing Slam just asked me, why don't you do Slam? Like, they knew, I guess, I had a strong love for sport and football in particular. And they're like, you can come and play sport with the inmates and have an opportunity to minister and preach to them. And I thought, why aren't I doing this? So I just went and gave it a shot. And then as I started it, I just kind of fell in love with it. I just thought, that's me. It's my chance to be able to preach to people who are completely lost and use the talents God gave me, I guess, to play sport and be able to just kind of marry the two together there. So
And so was that your role? So when you first joined up, what was your role there? What did you see yourself doing a lot of? Was it just playing the game?
So at Slam, I was when I started, 20 to 25. I was just a young kid. Like they were all, most of the guys there were older than me. A few of us young guys signed up around the same time, and I was just the young buck, just out there trying to do the best in the sport. Like the way it works in the jails is, if they come out and they absolutely flog you, they don't respect you and they don't sit down and listen to the preaching. So you need, like, it's important that we actually have a good solid game where we either like try to beat them, or push them right to the brink. So I guess I had to come in there and really try to help make sure they were giving them a good contest in footy. And you know, these guys play 3 hours a day of touch footy, so they're super fit and playing with each other every day, whereas us Slam guys all come from different walks of life, so not everyone's into footy. And
what you mean by that is that we eat a lot and end up getting flogged every other week.
Yeah, pretty much. that's another way of putting it.
Do you find it easy to talk to them after the game?
Yeah, I think the game is a great way of breaking the ice with them. You've kind of built some type of rapport with them. There's a respect. You've seen like how them put their, like, you know, wear their heart on their sleeve, and they've seen you do the same, give you all out there. And especially the adult prisons, they get it. They realise you've left your children at home, you've volunteered, you're not getting paid, you've come out to where they are, and you're spending time with them and playing like sport with them. So they really respect it, I guess. And whether they accept the message or not, they'll give you that respect. Some of the juvenile jails is a bit different. The kids, I guess, you know, they're under 18. Some of them don't get it. They just don't care, no respect for anybody. And they don't listen or don't show respect. But yeah, I find, you know, over the last, 15 years, the adult prisons, you do get that respect out of them.
Do you have a preference between the two?
I probably prefer the adult jails. I mean, it's great for the juveniles. I know it's good for them to be able to, they probably need kind of mentors and father figures. And thankfully, we've been able to hang out with one of the guys who's come out of the juvenile jails recently. He came to Elevate to church last week, and I've been messaging him. I've sent him the details for your company, for Verda. Nice. He's going to sign up to do an apprenticeship soon with that. Being on a few of his case conferences, helping him with that. So yeah, it's been cool being able to mentor someone like that.
Talk to me about that as much as you can anyway. How did that all happen? Because from what I know, that's the first time I've ever seen that go down.
Yeah, we got a bit lucky because COVID hit and we lost a lot of the jails. We stopped getting entry into a lot of them.
Yeah.
And then a mate of Dave Fagali's told him that he was working at a prison in St. Mary's, and Dave got in touch with me and said, that's the jail we used to get into years ago. He said that, his name's David Yanni. He said he's over there now, and he's like, why don't you guys try to come back in? I'm working in programs, I can help you. So I got in touch with him, went and had dinner with him and Dave's brother John. We had a good time, had a good connection with him, and then he helped introduce us to the head of programs and to the chaplain and everything like that. Made contact. I mean, it was insane because you got COVID, everything locked down. These kids' families aren't allowed to visit them, so they haven't had their parents inside physically seeing them for the last 6 months. Then here we are, this Slam, Christian
and we rocked
touch footy team. We were allowed in, and we're coming in playing touch footy with these guys.
Lockdown was still active when we.
Yeah, when we started, it was still pretty full on when it came to like indoor activities and stuff like that. Like we were playing in masks, 40-degree heat. We had to wear masks in our games with touch footy. So
that's kind of crazy to note that we were still going in. People weren't even allowed to go in the hospitals at that rate. Yeah, we were looking into a prison with no issue.
I think there was kind of like a loophole in the sense that even though families weren't allowed to visit, organised activities were allowed to continue. Okay. And we fell under that category in the prison. So we were able to make entry there. And then from there, we played footy, and Dave Yanni, just pulled me aside and said, mate, I really want to introduce you and your brother Tim to this kid. There's a lot of potential in footy. He said, but other than that, he's just a really good kid. He said, I really like him, got a lot of time for him. So he introduced me to David, and I went every time I went to prison. I went, just had a little chat with him. And then his case conference worker got in touch with me and said, look, he's got his case conference coming up, and we had to decide which programs he's going to be working with when he gets out. And he said he asked for you specifically, which was really cool. So that's how it happened, I guess. He put his hand up and said, I want the Slam guys if Danny can come. So I went down to his case conference, met with all of them, and just ran through what we want to do for him, get him involved in church, in youth.
That's awesome.
I've also got him into footy, so I've introduced him to a new team, different from the guys he used to hang out with.
Yeah, cool.
New club, got his registration sorted, and he's played his first game on the weekend, and ready to go again this weekend. So just trying to help him, I guess, find new ways of doing things where he's not around the same guys, not in the same cycle that he was before, and hopefully it's going to work well for him, and he can find, I guess, most importantly, Jesus is his saviour, and then a different life that God has for him. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
and on top of Slam, you also do Elevate.
Yep.
And you started doing that last year?
So yeah, probably been about a year and a half now since I've been doing Elevate. So that's with my. I like that 'cause that's my wife and I. We do that together. She's really built a strong bond and close connection with the girls of Elevate, so the young adults, and she loves it. She absolutely loves her work she does with the girls and just getting to know them. And I guess I've been close to the boys for a long time, and probably through Slam and just growing up with you guys, I've always had that connection with the boys, and that's been continuing through Elevate. Probably been strengthened a lot. Probably while I was having my kids, I wasn't on the scene as much, but now it's got me back connecting with everyone. But it was a real eye opener for my wife. She's really enjoyed it, and loving getting to know the girls in that
And
way.
how'd you get involved? Because I remember being in Epic. You were involved in Epic at the time.
Yeah.
What moved you from there to Elevate? How'd you start
Okay,
transitioning?
so Pastor Mansour asked us to help in the young Sunday school. We were running the young section of Sunday school. We were leaders there, Veronica and I, and Veronica was pretty much doing everything. I was doing absolutely nothing. I was just around if there was any issues or any parents had dramas or any major things had to happen, I'd step in, but she was really running that. And then Pastor just called us one day and said, I just want to catch up with you guys. And he put us in and he said, look, we really want you guys to be in the young adults with Elevate. He said, we're going to move someone else into the the kids Sunday school. So and that was it. We just prayed about it and jumped on board, and yeah, we've loved it ever since. So I never even thought about it. Just Pastor asked, and then now I look back and think, why didn't I ever think of
Jumping
going in that
into
way?
it?
Yeah, now I'm loving it.
Yeah,
So
because
it's
you guys
been
pretty
really
much
good.
fit in like a glove, man. It didn't
Thanks.
really,
Yeah, it feels that way. We love it. So.
yeah, it didn't really feel like you guys weren't there for a lot of it anyway.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's just it feels seamless. I guess when we came in there, it was just awesome. So yeah, we enjoy it.
And Elevate was a new ministry. It wasn't something that I guess you guys had when you were younger.
Yeah.
How did you start getting involved in church in general, like when you were younger? What was the go?
So for me, my story goes way back where I guess I started. My parents were in church before I was born, so I guess you can say I was born into the church. Wasn't obviously born a Christian, but I was born into the Faith Baptist Church, and so I was going. I think my mum said after she gave birth to me, like 3 days later, I was at church with her. So I was pretty much there from a very young age, and
And that sounds about
grew
right,
up.
knowing your mum.
Yeah, my mum's a machine.
She would have jumped straight back in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's old school. She's non-stop. So yeah, she had no problem taking me to all of us. I think she gave birth and we were all in church within a week.
So you guys start. So you grew up in the church. You grew up in school. What was your path going to becoming a Christian? What went down there?
Yeah, so growing up in church and also a Christian school, thank God I got to go to Condor Park Christian School, which I definitely didn't appreciate at the time. But now as being older and wiser and putting my
sending your
kids through
kids
it,
there.
yeah. I'm actually on the school board now and all,
Wow, Danny on the school board.
I know, never thought I'd be part of that. So
That's different.
it is different, but yeah, it was, I guess, a very sheltered, I had a great Christ-centered upbringing where the Bible was very, paramount in our lives. We memorized a lot of scripture. We understood it quite well because of our parents and because of church and because of school. So, but as a kid, it wasn't until I was about 7 or 8 years old that I remember on a Sunday night just hearing a message, and just that night, the Holy Spirit just spoke to me and just hit me, and just it sunk in that it does not matter how long I've been going to church for, who my family is, that does not make me a Christian. Being a Christian or part of God's family is a decision where I step out and Christ saves me individually. His death on that cross was for me, and me accepting that gift that He's given, that sacrifice, His precious blood that He shed, so that I could become part of His family and be forgiven of my sins. That night I just knelt down and I prayed to God and asked Him to come and save me and forgive me of my sins, and allow me into His family. And I guess that was getting saved at a young age, and
That's awesome.
just being able to grow in that.
And sorry, how old were you there?
I was 7 years old.
So 7. And I was 7 actually when I got saved too.
Oh, there you go.
So did you find yourself staying on that straight?
I did as a young kid, probably till I hit the age of about 13, 14, as early teen years.
Like most kids.
Like most kids, obviously you start thinking you know a lot more than your parents, and probably getting a bit too big for your boots. And I started kind of being grown up in such a, like I spoke about, that tight-knit, sheltered kind of upbringing.
Yeah.
Then I felt like I wanted to stretch out, and it was too restrictive, and unfortunately I felt like I need to stretch out in a rebellious way rather than a positive way. And just started rebelling against my parents, against, I didn't probably show it at church. I kind of lived that life, probably like what you call a double life, where wore the right things, said the right things, parted
good
my hair
little
the right
Christian
way
boy.
when I had hair back then. So
Long
yeah,
time ago.
exactly right. But then living my life in the world, like just hanging out with the wrong guys, doing the wrong things. So yeah, it was hard because down deep I knew that what I was doing was wrong. It's not like I thought it was right. I knew it was wrong. I just kept doing it and trying to hide it.
Did you attribute that to going to high school?
No, I contributed it to me. There's no one else. It was my fault, I guess, that I chose that path and followed that path. Then left Condell Park School in year 9 and moved to a bigger Christian school in year 10 at Regent's Park. I think from there, then I just got exposed to a lot more. So the rebellion was already in me, and then when I had a lot more exposure to, I guess, sin and different things, then I started, I guess, experimenting with it and wanting to get more of it. And that's probably where I got myself into a bit of trouble back then.
So obviously, like you've said, it was your choice. It was your sort of decision to start moving away. But how do you look at that, having gone through it, and look at your kids and think, okay, I need to structure their childhood a different way so that they don't feel like they're restricted by the time they hit that age?
Yeah, it's extreme. I think about that all the time. When I do work out the answer, I'll let you know.
It's a tough one.
It's very hard because honestly, I couldn't ask for much more in the upbringing my parents gave me, and yet that still happened. So I don't know if there's anything that I can do to guarantee. I don't think there's anything I can do to guarantee.
Do you think it's a personality thing? Because I was brought up pretty much the same way as you. It was very restrictive, very to the T. Especially with my dad, it's very he really wanted us to stay on the right path.
Yeah.
But I think I didn't have the personality to go that far. Do you think it's a personality thing as well?
Look, personality might be a part of it, but I don't know. I feel like anything attributed to is like nearly just blaming it.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's.
Okay, but you also got to remember you were 13, 14
Yeah, I know. I
like,
guess
you didn't have that much of a...
It's true. That's true. I guess you are also obviously your environment plays a part in it. They say you are who you hang out with, so the people you are around, can play a little part of it. So I guess just those little things can just build up on you. But you can be in the most sheltered environment in the world, and be around friends who are sheltered too. In between the few of you have that rebellion can build up inside you. So
it's really about your personal relationship with God, eh?
Yeah, I guess so. And like you said, at that young age, it's very hard because it's probably not that strong, and
100%.
You're starting to get exposed to a lot more at that age. So yeah, it's tough. I don't know. I don't know the answer to make sure my kids. I don't think I can guarantee that my kids don't go through it.
No, of course.
But I hope I can. But I can just do the best I can to try to, I guess, control the environment around them and point them to Christ and His Word as best I can. I guess that's all we can do.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So okay, high school hits. You go through high school, and then, like you said, year 10, you start going down the construction path. You do that work experience. When you start actually making moves.
Okay,
Did you go to year 12?
I did, yeah. Finished year 12, and thank God, in around 11, year 12, I had good mentors in my life, good Christian mentors at church, particularly David Fagali. And he's the kind of guy that when I was starting to get into big trouble or head down a really bad path, I'd just, as you do, ring Dave Fagali at 2 a.m. and tell him, mate, you got a time to talk, and he never would say no to you. So I'd go down to his place and have a chat with him, and I loved things you couldn't even talk to your closest friends or parents about. You could just talk to Dave about, and he'd never judge you. Like, I'll tell him things I think this guy's going to lose it, but he just takes it so calmly and doesn't. Just takes it in and didn't judge me. He said, yeah, that's fine. Oh, okay, your friends are taking drugs. You're thinking about it. Yeah, okay, it's up to you, and things like that. Like, you just think, is this really happening? And
he really lets you make the decision at the end of the day, eh? He just sort of leads you to it.
I guess, obviously weird. God, it's not him and it's himself. It's obviously God, his wisdom and his experience he's given him. But, then just saying like things, the thing that hit me and probably helped me change, that God used to hit my heart and change the way I was going, was Dave saying like, it's up to you. You can keep drinking with your friends. You can take drugs with them. You can do what you want with girls. But just think in 10 years from now, those friends you have around you now, when they're going to be in trouble, they're in the world and they're crumbling and they don't know where to turn, if you keep doing those things or start taking drugs with them now, they're not going to turn to you when they're in a time of need. Whereas if you change and you're the one that's different and you're the one that never touched drugs and you have they see a difference in you, they see Christ in you, they're going to call to you and ask for help, and you're going to be able to. And thank God, you know what? Now that I'm 35, you know what, Dave, he was right. Because it's so true. I made that decision.
Very good way to look at it. And did you find that actually happened?
100%. Yeah, I made decisions there before God. I made Him promises to turn my life around. And I guess that's where I started wanting to serve him, started serving him more at church, and yeah, followed a totally different life that I wanted. That that thank God I did at that age, because who knows where it could have gone then. And then from there, yeah, finished up school at year 12 then, and then straight from year 12, didn't even hesitate. I just signed up into construction. So I didn't do very well at school because I just was very focused on footy and being silly and hanging out with my mates. So just passed HSC and then had to go to TAFE for 2 years doing building management. And then when I graduated at TAFE, I never once in my entire life as a kid thought I'd go to uni. But then when I graduated, the teachers pulled, I think out of the 60 that started our course, I think on graduation night, 3 of us graduated out of 60.
Really?
Yeah,
That's a massive drop.
it was huge. I mean, a lot of guys, there was a fair few who had probably just failed 1 or 2 subjects, they couldn't make the graduation night. And there was some who just, many who dropped off on the way. But
stock standard TAFE life.
yeah, it's quite probably normal in that setting. But then one of the head of the, that construction at TAFE pulled me aside and said, look, your marks are really good. You've graduated as credit average so well. We don't get that often. He said, we really think you should go to uni. We recommend that. And I was like, come on, are you serious? Then he saw my face and my attitude, and he said, you know what? He said, you can go to uni, you can do like 4 weeks, and then if you don't, you can get your money back and pull out and you lose nothing. And if you like it, you can keep going. So I said, what have I got to lose? I thought.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I signed up. I remember doing the first 3 weeks and thought, I've got to make a call here. Then I think the way mum raised us and our parents raised us is when you start something, you finish it.
Yep, finish it well.
Which I didn't realize was going to be the next 3 years of my life. So then we finished uni. So I stuck it out and got my uni degree while I was working. I was doing night shifts, managing a milk distribution center, and then I'd finish one shift and go change my jacket to the meat room and walk next door and then start lifting meat all night. So yeah, it was.
Okay, so what's a uni day like for you? What were you doing?
So what I would do is I tried to cram as many of my subjects into 2 days as I could.
Okay.
Then on the other 3 days, I would work during the daytime I think it was about 4 a.m. doing the meat run. So I'd load meat into the trucks and go drive around delivering it, come back, park the truck, and then in the afternoon, I would literally change jackets, go into the milk room, and I would work night shift through there. So it was just doing insane amounts of work while trying to get uni over.
What were the hours on those 3 days?
So 4 a.m. to probably 2 or 3 p.m. at the meat room, and then straight into the milk, so about 3 p.m. till, I can't remember, sometime in the night, go home, sleep 4 or 5 hours, do it all over again.
That's full on, bro.
It was nuts, but I just was trying everything I could do to get ahead, get my studies done, save up money as the best I could. Again, my parents and dad could have helped us buy things, but he wanted us to
work for it.
Everything we got, we had to work for. And thank God he did that, because now look, me and my brothers, we became men very early because we had I wanted a car to work my butt off and then go buy $3,000.
How old were you when you got your first car?
I was 17 and a half, I think.
What was it?
It was a Mazda Estina, a green Mazda Estina with a blue door.
I was 15 when I got my first car.
Yeah.
Same thing. Dad was like, "Look, you can come work with me, and you can
Very
start
good.
working it off." Mine was a Mazda MX-5.
Both driving around MX-5. That's pretty cool for a
bro.
first car.
$4,500 that thing was.
I remember
And that was
you.
my baby, bro. She broke down like 7 times, but she was my baby. I love
You never forget your first car.
no. She was great. Okay, so what did uni do for you that TAFE couldn't? Like, what doors was it opening by getting your degree rather than just a diploma?
Okay, you do get more companies are willing to take you if you want to move up to a project manager role with a uni degree.
Can you be a project manager with just a diploma though?
Yes and no.
Okay.
You can, but it's a lot harder, and you got to build up a lot more experience, and it's a lot more limited in which companies would take you without it. So you can. It's only possible, but it's a lot better to have
just
your
the
uni
harder
degree.
road.
Yeah, like my boss. The ones that I worked for liked that I did uni, and that was part of the reason I got the jobs where I work.
Okay.
And when I ask them, and when you understand why later, they don't really care about what you learn in uni. They just look at it and show that you've shown discipline to get through those years and pass those, get through those. That's how they look at the guys I worked for. And I guess maybe construction's different to other industries. I guess if you're doing medicine, they're not worried about that. They want to know your stuff.
They want to know that you can cut a person's hand open and stitch it back up.
Exactly right. But in construction, it makes sense. I mean, you don't learn much in uni compared to what you're going to be doing on the field. So I understood that it showed discipline was what was key for them.
So it really is a waste of time without the discipline side of
in a sense.
Is there a lot that you could learn there that you wouldn't learn on the site?
Not really. Everything I would use in what I work now, majority of it I learned. Small parts of it I learned in uni. Majority I learned of it, experience in the industry.
And what's the thing about the industry that you love the most, or what is it that keeps you there? Because a lot of guys your age will start shifting career paths.
Yeah, look, construction's not for everyone, and they say project managers in construction have a short lifespan because of the pressure, the intensity, the stress. I think I love that every single day is different. You don't know what's coming at you in construction. You can never have 2 days the same, and you just are across so many different things. Like as a project manager, you're managing across such a wide. I don't think there's any industry in the world on such a broad and wide amount and dealing with so many different people at different levels and that. So I guess that's what I love about it. I guess I enjoy that side of it.
It's just a wide scope, eh?
Yeah, it's just huge. I mean, you're dealing with clients, banks, QSs, and then all of the consultants, every single engineer of every discipline, structural, electrical, mechanical, hydraulic, civil.
Interesting. So what's the path to get up to PM?
So there's 2 paths really in the industry. You either go, I guess, what you'd call the office path, which is a cadetship in an office, then a junior contracts administrator, moving into a contracts administrator, then a senior contracts administrator, and then into a junior PM, and into eventually a project manager. Sure. Yeah.
And what was the path you took?
That was my path. That was my path. The other path is the site way, going as a cadet again, but probably on site, junior cadet on site, labourer, moving up to leading hand, junior foreman, site manager, and then eventually project manager. So there's 2 paths.
Are they very clear paths? Like when you walk into the industry, are they clear? Like if you're walking in, any young guy that wants to walk in and says, I want to be a PM, is that a clear?
No, it's not. It wasn't clear to me then, and I look at a lot of kids these days. It's not. They don't get it. It's clear to me now, looking back.
Yeah.
Looking forward, looking up as a kid. No, you don't. You just get in there and just work hard and just try. You can't look that far ahead. You kind of just got to. People who look too far ahead and want to become project managers, they get frustrated and they pull out of the industry. It's a long road.
I find that with apprentices all the time.
Yeah,
mate, they want to be the manager 6 months in rather than put the work in.
I had to work my butt off for 10 years to get to project manager.
So it took you 10 years to get?
Yeah, it took 10 years. 10 years full time in the industry, working hard.
How old were you when you became a PM?
So it's probably about 30, 29 or 30 when I started project management.
Were you at the same company the whole time?
No, so I've been at about, maybe this is my 5th company, but I've been here for now about close to 7 years, and yeah, I love it at North Point. So it's where I see myself. So
what do you guys build? That's a very simple question, but what do you guys build?
Yeah, we build mainly multi-residential. So apartments and townhouses is probably our forte, what we build at the moment. It hasn't always been that way. In the past, when commercial was booming, they built pretty much only commercial. Then the market moved towards residential. So North Point shifted over and started doing residential. We've been doing that since I've started anyway.
So I'm going to assume you've done everything.
I did commercial at my last company, FAL.
Yeah.
We did a lot of schools, private schools, churches, pub renovations, things like that. So that was mainly commercial, and now I've done for the last 7 years, been doing mainly residential.
And what's the biggest difference between the two?
There's a lot more detail and a lot more happening on residential. Like in apartments, it's a lot more detail.
They bigger jobs too?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. You can have a huge commercial job or a small commercial job or a huge residential. So that's not relevant, but it's more detail in the jobs when you're doing residential.
Okay, and being a Christian in the workplace, what's your biggest challenge as a Christian in construction? Because I'll be straight out with you. I've got a lot of mates, got a lot of guys that have said to me, look, you can't be a Christian in the construction game. You've got to just be like the other guys. You've got to say what the other guys say and then move on. So how do you combat that? Or do you agree with that?
I don't agree with that. I know where they're coming from, where that sentiment comes from. I understand it's a ruthless, tough industry. I mean, so I work in the prison ministry and I work in construction, and I always joke and say that there's more criminals in construction than there are in jail.
Yep.
Which probably isn't too far away from the truth.
Yep.
So it is tough, but I think no matter what you do, even as hard as it is in construction, if you're true to yourself and what you believe and you're strong in your faith, then you can get through doing things the right way.
Have you found that shift over the years? Because I found in just the industries I've been in, mine's mainly business and office work, but I found when I started, it was laughable at the start, but now it's sort of like, okay, that's what it is. You got to respect that and move on. Do you find that in construction or not?
there hasn't been a shift in construction. I don't think there's been a shift in your industry. So I think that you've grown as a person and stronger.
You reckon?
And the people around you that have known you longer, I've learned to respect that. It takes time to earn people's respect. That's what it is. Because I reckon everything gets worse, not better, but you get stronger in your faith and more confident. And people get to know you in the industry. There's people that know you that you don't even know you. And then when they meet you, they've already heard of you before. Your testimony. If you've got a strong testimony, it gets out there. People know who you are. So people don't ask me to come out and go to the pub for a drink or go to the strip club or go wherever they're going because they just know he's not that guy. And yeah, I guess you kind of got to build that reputation up for yourself.
And how hard do you think it is to build that reputation? Well, how hard was it for you to build that reputation?
I guess I was lucky that I had those challenges younger in setting my foundation strong in who I was, my identity in Christ, in my family, who I wanted to be. So I had that strength, I guess, in that identity. And it wasn't too, and then, working in the meat industry and the milk industry it was a bit rough as well. You're dealing with a lot of rough people. So you kind of, I guess God takes you step by step, builds you up. So I was built up before I got there. So it was tough, but not too bad. It wasn't too bad.
Sort of prepped you for it.
100%, yeah. I think my whole life was a journey leading through, and God prepares you for it. He's going to put you to face. That's how I look at it anyway.
Okay. And, well, I guess what I'm trying to get at is how does one remain a Christian and remain strong in that industry? Because if I'm looking at anyone, you're probably you've got a lot of experience in it. We've seen what you've done. We've seen how you got there. How do you remain a Christian and keep that testimony?
I guess that
Is it still a
same
challenge?
message. Yeah, it is a challenge. I mean, small things you don't think of, like when you're on a $30 million job and then the client wants to take you out for a celebration at the end, and then you're around a huge table where you got all the clients, the banks, all the consultants, your whole team, and then they all want to have a drink or champagne and shit, and you choose not to drink alcohol, and you're the only one on the table, and then the client from China looks at your boss and says, "Why isn't he having a drink with her?" Yeah, they're probably the small thing. You don't realize it, but they're tough because you got so much heat and pressure on you. Yet you got to stay true to who you are no matter what. And I think even that advice I got as a young kid from Dave, to be able to maintain a testimony where people are going to see Christ in you, you got to stick it out no matter what. I kind of guess that's kind of the mantra that I've got that I stick with. Like, no matter what it takes, you got to stay strong in what you believe in and your faith in Christ. So that's how I get through. Stick to that.
I think that's the way. I mean, you need to look at life in general. You are the decisions that you make and the choices you make, and it's those small ones that can be the hardest ones.
So true. Yeah,
that's
exactly
rough.
Right.
Okay, so would you recommend the construction industry to a kid now?
No.
Why?
Not my kid. We joke at work, so if our kid comes to the house and says, "I want to do construction," we're going to slap him. But
why? Well,
I guess everything we've been talking about, it's
just
a bit of a mug's game. It is tough. There's a lot of ruthless people in construction. You're dealing with a lot of, I guess dirty. It's known as a dirty industry, so that's probably why. But look, in the end of the day, if my son or someone young grew up in the right way and was prepared for it, spiritually I'm talking about, in that kind of sense, then yeah, I guess it's not too bad a path. But you got to, like I said, it's not for everyone, and you got to be thick-skinned and tough to handle it.
Yeah, it's a tough industry. I mean, I only deal with probably the tradies. I don't really deal with your end of it.
Yeah.
And it is so interesting how you have to deal with them. You just see how an apprentice talks to them and back and forth, and it's
a different breed.
You really need to know what you're saying before you say it, because they'll call you out straight away.
100%. Exactly right.
All right, so you've got that, you've got church, you've got your family. How do you balance the three? And ministry, because ministry and church are two different things.
Yeah, true. It's much easier just to attend church.
How do you balance the four?
I'm still trying to work that out.
I'm
trying to work that out. I'm about to have my fourth kid. So.
Well, I saw what happened before. Now, it happened before I put the cameras on, but I rocked up and the kids are still not in bed, and you still got to sort that out and this and that. And I just looked at you, I go, I'm so happy I don't live that life right now. Yeah, it's so different.
Tonight's a bit tougher than usual because my wife's out preaching to the girls and ladies meeting, so it's a bit harder than usual. But it is tough because you're trying to work. I'm taking my son to do footy, the swimming lessons, and the wife does most of that stuff, taking the kids to activities now. But on the weekends, I'm taking them to everything, and obviously trying to fit ministry around it. So I'm the trainer on my son's sporting team, but the team knows that on once a month I'm not going to be there because I'm going to be in prison. So things like that, you got to make little adjustments to your life. So things like that. But it is hard. Like I'm still trying to learn that. And Pastor Mansell talks to me about stuff like that, about making sure you learn to balance these things, because it's good. The advice he's giving me is good, because no matter what, some parts of your life are suffering somewhere. You're taking time from somewhere to give it up to other areas. So I guess that's what I'm trying to learn. I'm still working on that. So
Do you think it's a priority shift?
yeah, I guess you've got so much to do and only so much time to do it. So it's just prioritizing what's most important and then working down the chain and then just trying to make it all work.
Yeah, okay. And, all right, one thing you tell teen Danny, besides don't join the construction industry.
One thing I would probably definitely tell myself is just keep your eyes on God and stick it out. Because it's easy to lose sight of things, of God, and of the plan that's ahead of you and the journey. And just stick it out, because when you work hard at something, sometimes you can just think, I'm too exhausted, I'm not getting anywhere, it's not going to happen, and just want to drop off. But now that I've gotten to this stage, I just know that if you just keep working, just keep focusing and keep doing your best and trusting in God, it'll come, the rewards will come. And that's probably the best thing I could say, just because I've, growing up and going through it and going through that journey, there was probably stages where I didn't have that, or I probably lost that. So I guess I'll just keep reminding myself, if I was younger, just to keep focusing on that, keep sticking to that, and keep working on that.
You told me before that you started dating your missus when you were 23.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm 23 right now, and I look at your life, I look at you being a businessman, have a family, all that sort of stuff, and that seems extremely far away to me. I'm gonna assume it seemed the exact same to you.
It felt like miles away when I was 23.
Okay. Now, when you look back at that 23-year-old, that 22-year-old that had no clue all this was coming down the pike, what was the difference between your thought process now and your thought process back then?
I guess back then I didn't think about much. I have to think about everything. Back then, I honestly thought that I would never get married till I was over 30. I would set my life up, get set up, and then just God changed everything. He just decided that, you're going to get married soon. And I think I'm glad I was just willing to follow what he had for me. And because if it was up to me and I followed the plan I wanted, I would have gone in a totally different and wrong direction. So,
were you prepping for all this at that age?
Nah. I was working hard and trying to prepare for I was always pretty focused on building my life, preparing my life. But never thought that I'd get married so quick and young, and that I just didn't think that would happen. But it just happened. God just made it happen. I joke sometimes that I feel like I was single one day, then went to bed, woke up, and I was married with 3 kids. And I was thinking, how did this happen? That's how quick it feels sometimes. It's just crazy. It's just insane when life goes quick, life moves fast, and it can feel like that sometimes.
And where's it moving now?
Well, our 4th kid's on the way, 4th and final, hopefully.
Oh, congrats, mate.
Thank you. So that's going to be our next chapter, I guess, setting up in that path. I do want to see with my opportunities with business. So, the discussion with my employees has already come up about, partnership with them and moving in with how I can step up in our company. And so, and be more involved in the development side of things and the business. So, yeah, that's I guess, in the near future down the track for me, focusing on that and focusing on the family. So,
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think the last thing I want to ask you is, what is it about your life that if you had to summarize it, or you had to give someone a certain summary, what is it that you want them to take from it? What is it that you want your life to be for them to see?
I think just sticking to God's plan for your life, no matter what, not letting distractions take you away from that, following after it, putting Him first. Because you're going to get struggles throughout the way and have different challenges, but just trying to focus on Him and follow Him through no matter what. I guess that's probably the key, I think, to being able to get success in life. Really, that's what I think a successful life is. Someone who's followed the plan God had for him.
And just keep following that plan.
Exactly right.
Pretty much. All right. Well, thanks, Dan.
No worries. Thank you very much. It's been great.
Thanks for talking to me. I feel like I learned a lot about you, and your missus is just walking through the door now.
Great timing.
I feel like I learned a lot more about you, so we've got to do this again soon.
I'm happy to do it with you anytime.
Appreciate you, mate.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks.